Good afternoon. Welcome to Business This Week on ITV. I am Blessing AG. We've been experiencing increase in prices of various commodities since the beginning of the year. One has been on a continued increase, and very recently we've seen increase of two commodities, two items that are very, very crucial to daily living. That is electricity and, of course, petrol. Today on the show, we want to look at the cause of this increase and effect on businesses as well as the economy. We'll bring you Business Roundup right now, and then we will talk business. So stay tuned for Business Roundup. A business roundup. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has requested that all banks in the country submit the statement of domiciliary accounts of some high-profile individuals, including owners of popular betting companies in Nigeria. CBN issued a directive in September 15, 2020, in a letter signed by Z. Marcus for the Director of Banking Supervision. This comes after the Apex Bank instructed banks to place a post-no-debit instruction on the accounts of 38 companies, including betting companies, bureau de change companies, and some logistics companies. The business of sports betting in Nigeria is thriving, about the fastest growing sector in Nigeria today. And most recent data indicates that over 60 million Nigerians between the ages of 18 and 40 spend as much as 2.8 billion naira daily on gambling and the sporting betting, with most of the money going to illegal financial transactions, a development which may have attracted CBN's intervention. The federal government of Nigeria has directed Nigerians with accounts in any financial institution to obtain, complete, and submit self-certification forms to their respective financial institutions. The financial institutions comprise of banks, insurance companies, and others. The forms, according to a tweet thread from the verified account of the government of Nigeria, explained that the forms are required by the relevant financial institutions to carry out due diligence procedures in line with the Income Tax Regulations 2019. It noted that failure to comply with the requirements to administer or execute this form attracts sanctions, which may include monetary penalty or inability to operate the accounts. The Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, has directed landlords to stop imposing outstanding electricity bills in an apartment on new tenants. The Commission said this in a tweet on Thursday, that landlords' outstanding electricity bills cannot be enforced on a tenant. According to the Commissioner, Finance and Management Services, NEC, Nathan Shati, a landlord's outstanding electricity bills cannot be enforced on a tenant. This, he said, was in agreement with a court ruling that the bill of a previous tenant cannot be enforced on a new customer. It was reported that prior to this directive, a new tenant, while moving into a new house, takes on the outstanding electricity bill in the apartment. This practice has been a source of controversy in the country, with distribution companies disconnecting customers who failed to comply. But Shati asks new tenants who were made to pay the outstanding bills of their landlord to report the issue to the NEC for appropriate action. Mr. Shati stressed further that tenants who purchased meters with their own money will be reimbursed through an arrangement the NEC was about to make, adding that there is a court order in force that has made the violation of the Nigerian capping policy a punishable offense. The capping policy stipulates that power distribution companies, DISCOs, are disallowed from charging electricity consumers under the estimated billing system more than they do consumers with prepaid meters in the same vicinity. And then let's move now to the parallel exchange market to find out what the Naira stands at against major currencies in the world. Private Exchange Market wraps up its business roundup. We'll take a break and then we'll see to talk business. Thank you for being there. Today we're looking at price increase. The price of petrol, the pump price of petrol has increased. The price of food keeps increasing. And of course, the electricity tariff, there's been an increase on that too. Now, to discuss this, we need to understand the cost. Let's begin with electricity. What necessitated the increase in electricity tariff? We discussed with one of the discos, and we had to understand, or we want to understand from them what necessitated the increase. So we'll bring to you an interview that we had with one of the operators in the sector talking about the discos. Watch this interview and we'll be back.
Basically, the basis for a review in the electricity tariff for electricity customers all over the country are twofold. The first one has to do with the economic realities. The macroeconomic realities in recent times have actually changed. Now, the last tariff review that the power supply industry witnessed was in 2016 February. And between 2016 February and now 2020, there has been a lot of changes in the macroeconomic indices. For instance, the inflation rate has risen. The value of the exchange rate of naira to a dollar, because dollar is the universal currency, has also changed substantially. Then second is the fact that there's need for service improvement in the power sector for customers. And for this to happen, there must be fresh or new investments in the tools of the business. For instance, infrastructure, power transformers, distribution transformers, injection substations, even transformers that you have in communities, poles, and all other electrical accessories that are used to service customers. Well, with this new tariff regime, customers have been disaggregated into 5 major bands. We have those on band A, who are those that are enjoying 20 hours of electricity supply minimum on daily basis. For those customers on band B are those customers who are enjoying 16 hours of supply on daily basis. Customers on band C are those whose electricity supply starts from minimum of 12 hours and above on a daily basis. Then band E are those who are still enjoying 8 hours and above, while band G is for customers who are having maybe 4 hours of electricity supply and above. And for BEDC, only about 30% of our customers are going to be affected or are being affected by the adjustments in the rates, at least for now. The band D and E tariff rates are frozen, and this is because those people are deemed not to be enjoying the right minimum standard for supply, which is supposed to be 12 hours a day. They have about 5 offering package in terms of service delivery, which is on a progressive basis. The first thing is that customers are going to enjoy improved power supply, and we are doing that not only ensuring that between about 360 megawatts of electricity that we receive from the national grid daily is given to them as we get them from the national grid. In addition to that, we want to augment through an arrangement called independent power generation. Independent power generation will enable, because we have signed memorandum of understanding with some independent power producers to give us between 30 and 100 megawatts respectively. In addition to that, we are going to use, or we've been using modern app for meter reading and the enumeration of customers under our network. And if a service provider fails, there are sanctions. In addition to that, our power partners, the Transmission Company of Nigeria, we are going to enter into a bilateral service agreement with them, because the actualization of this service improvement, especially from the technical side, rests essentially on TCN. And when we have a service level agreement signed with them, that means they are committed to assisting us in providing that service. And there will be regular monitoring even by the regulator. So all the disposal the operators, including BEDC, we are not committed to ensuring that we deliver on this promised service delivery to customers. There is no business or economy that operates in isolation. The electricity tariff review or change should not be viewed in isolation of the factors of production. The electricity supply from national grid is still at a much cheaper cost. But if you are running your diesel or you are powering your generator at 180 naira per liter for diesel and at 161 naira per liter for petrol.
Okay, that was the head corporate affairs Benin Electricity Distribution Company, one of the discos in Nigeria, Mr. Tayo Adekunle, talking about the need or what necessitated the increase in electricity tariff. I've been joined in the studio here by Mr. Emmanuel Ebogbe. He is a business and economic analyst. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Blessing.
Now, before we proceed with the discussion today, there's been an update to the story on the federal government asking that Nigerians visit their financial institution to re-register. Now, the government has retracted that statement and has apologized to Nigeria for the misleading tweet. It has also said that okay, it has retracted that, and this message was contained in the FIRS Nigeria notice, and it says it does not apply to everybody. I guess most Nigerians now heaved a sigh of relief, considering the stress these days that is involved in getting into the banking hall. All right, we'll continue with our discussion. You just watched that interview. Now, what's your response to that? As a consumer of electricity, for instance, do you think that the hike or increase in electricity tariff is justified?
Well, from what BDC is saying, it meant that the tariff increase is not for
everybody.
What it meant is that they have categorized consumers into 6 groups, and it looked like only a negligible percentage, according to him, I think about 7 or so % will be affected by that. The reason is that
he said for Benin, 30% of their, for BDC, 30% of their consumers are the only ones affected. Okay,
so what it means, the other one that is quite welcoming is that they're looking at upgrading their service rendition to lower served consumers to hit a threshold which they expect. So let's, no price increase presently will be acceptable to consumers.
Okay.
No price increase, basically because the economy is presently passing through a very trying time post-COVID-19. So as of how consumers will take it, no, I don't think consumers will smile at it. Every consumer presently are price sensitive, and tariff increase is one of the prices, living cost, and you would expect that to have some level of resistance.
Okay. Now, before we leave electricity alone, the federal government is planning to provide solar power for 5 million Nigerians within a 12-month space. Do you think that is feasible?
It is feasible. It is the operational modality that will be adopted that is the issue. Basically, when doing things that have to do with relief, you would be looking at the worst hit and worst impacted group of people. So it would be that effect, because I know basically the objective would be to reduce the impact or burden of the tariff increase on the worst hit consumer in the society. Why not? It's just to look at the criteria that will be taken to select beneficiaries. I also know too that the other side of it is that, of course, it will create some form of employment for those who will be
providing the
solar power, because it's not going to be done pro bono. So there will be some form of spending on the side of government that will impact the society.
Well, do you think providing solar power for 5 million Nigerians, that means a lot of Nigerians will get to start using solar power, will provide some form of competition for the power companies that we have in Nigeria?
Aside from providing yes, I agree that it will provide some form of healthy competition. If you ask me, looking for alternative power consumption, power production outfit would have been, is long overdue for us, excepting that our reliance on the alternative presently, which is just generator, the noise, the fueling and all of that, it's not an ideal alternative. Solar power, as well as other means of generating power across the world, is being exploited and positively. So for me, it is one, it will reduce the present pressure on electricity consumption that comes mostly and only mostly from the national grid. So why not? It will also reduce the price too, because of course your elementary economics tells you that once the demand for a supply of a goods that is limited is high, the price certainly will be going up. So beside that pressure presently, we know that yes, the electricity generating company is looking at the cost of providing a unit of electricity in megawatts or in the measurements. So it will certainly reduce the pressure. And it will bring about some form of healthy competition and will reduce also the impact of electricity on daily living.
Now, since we're already in a way talking about petrol, the federal government has said it wants to convert the cars and generators of Nigerians to run on gas as a way to cushion the effect of the increase in petrol pump price. Again, is that feasible? And is there any economic benefit inherent in that plan?
That is also feasible. That is, you're asking if it is feasible for
the federal government
to be able to
take on that.
Why not? It is feasible. For instance, if the federal government enters into partnership with companies that does the conversion of a vehicle from petrol use to alternate fueling use, why not? It's just the same thing as doing the solar system thing. And of course, the same advantage that will come from it is, one, it will create more jobs. Two, it will have the cost of transportation reduced for those beneficiaries of that scheme. Again, the other question would be how the selection of the beneficiaries will be done. It should have been targeted at, it is intended to be targeted at the worst hit, the most vulnerable of our society. In getting that, to get a larger impact, you would have been looking at mass transit systems. So it's possible, very possible.
I haven't understood the cost of the increase in electricity tariff according to one of the discos. For petrol, we've also been told that when the price of crude oil in the market rises, we should expect a corresponding rise in pump price. So, but the increase that we have right now, how is it affecting businesses? How is it playing out in the economy?
Okay, let me quickly respond that to when there is increase in the price of crude oil, we should expect some level of increase in the price of a pump for fuel. That's not necessarily all that it takes. Just like the government, the government has told us, especially this administration has told us before now, that we would want to remove any form of subsidy from it. So what we're having now is a removal of subsidy from consumption of petroleum product, that is petrol, as it were. So what you presently have is a partial deregulation. What it means is that the petroleum price is responding like diesel now and kerosene to the actual price of it. So you ask how it will, the second...
Yes, what impact is it currently having
certainly
on businesses and the economy?
Certainly it will have, first, a direct impact, because petrol drives a number of, economic activity, production, transportation, consumption, and all that. So petrol price increase is already impacting, no matter how you look at it, on the
cost of goods and services.
Cost of goods and services. So you would expect that some level of inflation will be experienced in basic items like food and some other consumer items. So it's only expected.
Now, before we talk about food price increase, when the price of pump price of petrol was brought down by the government, did we really see a reduction in the cost of goods and services, the price of goods and services? Did we actually see a significant reduction, as we're seeing a significant increase in the price of goods and services now that the price of petrol has increased?
The response and impact of these price changes don't happen automatically. So you will need to give, we call it a time lag. You will need to give some time to see how a drop or an increase in the price of petroleum or any item will affect the price of another. So I know that the price, the petroleum price increase, which was just only recent, is already having a gradual effect, but we don't know where it will.
So time will tell.
Time will tell. But having said that, about the same time too was where we were just getting out of the pandemic, which we were still in. So there was a drop in food production. There was a drop in other production. Of course, there was lockdown. So you expect that the pressure on buying the items pushed up the prices. So you cannot necessarily tie it up to petroleum price increase alone.
All right. On a final note, the decision of governments to ban access to forests to food importers, do you think is an effective way in dealing with food crisis?
It is an effective way in the long run, excepting that in the short run, it will put pressure on the available local production. In the long run, yes, it will be effective. That will make us develop local alternatives for producing food, say rice, for instance, and any other food item which was initially imported. It will help us develop local capacity to produce. So in the immediate, the impact of that policy would be that prices will go up. It's not unlikely that, of course, we presently face food insufficiency in local production. So that's what you expect in the long run. Why not? It will have.
We can't just wait for that long run when we'll have food sufficiency in Nigeria. Thank you very much, Mr. Ibogbe, for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And it's a wrap on the show today. Thank you very much for watching. I am Blessing Echi. Until next week, take care of yourself.